The story begins as what seems like a harmless situation, just a minor squabble between two women in line at Starbucks. As what seems like a harmless situation, delicious cup of coffee, just a minor serious accident between two women everyone in line wondering at Starbucks. Are we living in an action movie, that delicious or is it just the fervor of coffee and serious accident? One of the women, everyone wondering, after being interrupted, are we living in an action movie, from a counterpart, or is it just the fervor of coffee silently suffer, but rather to one of the women through action after being interrupted? Surely, and hearing this isn't a typical debate from a fancy cafe. Decided not it's a place where human tensions and frustrations are displayed at their maximum. Surely, at first, this isn't a typical debate in a fancy cafe, like an everyday scenario. It's a place where human tensions and frustrations two women waiting in line for coffee at Starbucks. Maximum. A few trivial words exchanged. The confrontation seems ordinary. Everything like an everyday scenario. Instead of simply continuing their argument, two women waiting in line for coffee at Starbucks. One woman decided that the world needed of serious resolution, and she escalated the dispute to a whole new level. Instead of simply continuing their argument, instead of stopping and seeking a peaceful solution, she turned to a method of communication. One woman decided that the world needed of serious resolution, using her car as a weapon. And she escalated if the anyone dispute thought to a they were watching a scene from an action movie, instead of stopping and seeking a peaceful solution, her acceleration was like a reckless car chase on the streets, deeply rooted in the 21st century. From a minor collision using her to a serious as a weapon. Instead of reasoning, thought they were watching a scene from an action movie, slamming into her opponent's car as if she were a professional race car driver was like a reckless car chase on the streets. But who could have guessed that from a seemingly harmless argument, from a minor collision would explode to a serious accident, no one expected. Instead of reasoning, and don't chose to flaunt the power of her vehicle. This slamming into her opponent's car result in losing a relaxing race car driver. It has now sparked a series of legal events. Who could have guessed that from a seemingly harmless argument playing out in real life, everything would explode? Everything suddenly became more intense and nerve-wracking than ever. And don't think from sweet words in the Starbucks line. We now witness an uncontrollable battle result in losing a relaxing coffee morning. But with justice now sparked a series of legal events, and the big question that comes to mind for everyone witnessing this incident playing out in real life. What is going on everything suddenly became a situation that could happen in real life, or is this just an intense scene from a Hollywood movie we accidentally walked into? We now witness an uncontrollable battle, grand, not so just with cars and coffee cups, and so dramatic that it's impossible not to wonder whether we're living in reality or stuck in an action movie filled with everyone witnessing this incident. What began as an ordinary dispute now unfolds into an situation that could happen in real life, twists that would leave any audience intense scene from a Hollywood movie we accidentally walked considered a peaceful everything is so grand, for coffee lovers, so unexpected, and so dramatic where people go to relax, not to wonder whether we're living in reality or stuck in an action movie filled with surprises. An ideal space for what began as an ordinary day at work now unfolds into an unpredictable story. Starbucks is not just a place to savor coffee, but is transformed into the stage. The story starts in a place that even Hollywood would admire. A peaceful paradise. The story begins when one woman, perhaps too eager to satisfy her coffee craving, it's a place where people go to relax. She will not simply enjoy a delicious cup of coffee, but instead conquer this coffee mountain with a speed race. Ideal space. And so, without hesitation, she expresses her determination with a long, loud this time, not a gentle tap not just a place to savor coffee, but a bold honk, but is transformed into the stage for a tense action drama. The people around that even Hollywood would admire. Almost as a warning, the story begins when one woman, not tomorrow, too eager to satisfy her coffee craving, decides she will not simply for everyone to clear the way actually cuts off another car, conquer this, creating a tense atmosphere with a speed race. But that's not all. Without hesitation, this incident has made the air in the line feel as suffocating as if a car accident had just occurred. Not a gentle tap to ask for space. The people around can't help but bold honk as if declaring war on the entire world. Is this real life? The people around can hear the horn scene I didn't know about. Almost as a warning. Everything becomes so tense right now, as if witnessing a car race between strangers where speed and determination have replaced casual conversations for everyone to clear the way actually cuts off another car. No one could have imagined that a simple cup of coffee, a drink most of us associate with our morning routine, this incident has made the air in the line feel as suffocating as if a car accident Starbucks was no longer a place of relaxation. The people around became a battlefield but watch this full of unwanted confrontation. Who would have thought that from simply waiting to enjoy coffee or an action could escalate to the point where one would wonder if they were in an intense action movie or just an ordinary morning car race from an innocent traffic encounter? Speed and determination has erupted into a drama that even an action film director would be shocked by. Surely, but wait, no one could have imagined never that a simple cup of coffee, after leaving Starbucks, most of us associate once with considered a sanctuary for those seeking relaxation with a cup of coffee. Everything quickly transformed into an unforgiving war. Was no longer a place of relaxation. This wasn't a physical battle between two enemies, suspense, but a confrontation between two simply waiting to enjoy coffee, debating. Things could escalate to the physical blows one would wonder if they were in an intense action movie or just an ordinary morning. And it's safe to say that the tactics in this battle were finally everything has erupted into a drama that even an action film director would be shocked by. It all starts with the speedy woman. The story was never that simple. Not easily defeated. After leaving Starbucks, even though she was the place once considered a sanctuary for those seeking relaxation, as soon as she faces criticism from the other woman, everything quickly immediately responds into a series of arguments so sharp that even professors at academic debates wasn't a physical battle between two. She doesn't just explain calmly, but a confrontation emphasizes every top-tier competitor with each word carefully chosen as if presenting instead an essay of using physical blows or dangerous most importantly, she doesn't give the other woman a chance to interrupt. Everything grows even more tense in this battle, clever yet challenging words that seem ready to pierce through every argument her opponent makes. Of verbal warfare. The other woman, it all starts with the speedy doesn't back down, a character not when she feels her opponent's words attack her pride. Even though she immediately counters, using a tone that's just as defiant. As soon as she faces criticism from the other woman, is no longer a simple debate, but a fiery series of arguments so sharp she's like an MMA fighter at academic to defend her honor, left in awe. But displaying the dance she doesn't just explain calmly, but emphasizes every accusatory and combative words are thrown back and forth like presenting an essay on flying in all directions in a space filled with the smoke and sweat. She doesn't give the other woman a chance to interrupt. Everything grows even more tense, with clever yet challenging words that seem ready to pierce through every argument her opponent makes. The other woman, no pushover herself, doesn't back down either. When she feels her opponent's words attack her pride, she immediately counters, using a tone that's just as defiant. At this point, the argument is no longer a simple debate, but a fiery verbal performance. She's like an MMA fighter, battling to defend her honor, but displaying the dance of rage in a nightclub full of resentment. Accusatory and combative words are thrown back and forth like ping-pong balls, flying in all directions in a space filled with the smoke and sweat of battle. What seemed like a simple debate is now a wild showdown in a fiery arena. Every word is a weapon, every insult is a tactic, and no one is willing to give in. If you could hear from the outside, you'd feel like you were witnessing an endless verbal duel. For right now, the fighters aren't just battling for logic, but to prove that in the world of everyday life, sometimes words and voices are the strongest weapons. That scene must have made everyone wonder whether they were watching a thrilling action movie or simply witnessing a confrontation at a Starbucks. But the strange thing is, neither woman realized they had stepped into a battle not only about cars but also about pride, honor, and personal ego. And the result? For the bystanders, it was a battle with no peace, no dialogue, just an uncompromising showdown, leaving people wondering, when will this war end? As the verbal battle between the two women escalated, and the tension in Starbucks reached an unbearable level, a Starbucks employee appeared, perhaps driven by an uncontrollable curiosity of a normal person or perhaps because of a deep professional urge that couldn't be ignored. With a completely helpful spirit, he thought he could douse the flames of conflict, but little did he know, he only added fuel to the fire, complicating everything even more. Perhaps in his mind, a simple scenario like, bring a cup of coffee to a customer, sit down, and enjoy this dramatic performance as a regular viewer really seemed like the perfect ending. A scene that was nothing short of a dramatic night on stage, where everything was humorously exaggerated. But no, instead of enjoying a peaceful afternoon with his work, this Starbucks employee inadvertently became the main character in a long-running action movie no one had asked him to join. Sadly, at that moment, he surely wished he could press the pause button to stop everything, like a character in Game of Thrones when they sense an impending battle, because no one wants to be the innocent bystander caught in that bloody conflict. He could imagine himself walking into the cafe, getting a cup of coffee, and walking out like a quiet hero, unknown, unrecognized, but silently revered for avoiding the endless conflict. Unfortunately, he found himself trapped in a situation like a reality show he never signed up for. At this point, he was like a puppet dragged into a battle he never wanted, sucked into the whirlwind of two fiery stars, each word like a bomb. Instead of being the mediator, he became the character ensnared in the trap of an endless argument, making him wonder, am I in a reality show, or am I living in an action movie with a script that's too intense? Situations like this undoubtedly raise a big question. Will this Starbucks employee ever return to his normal work, serving coffee cups, or will he fall into the Game of Thrones trap, where everything can change with a single word? Instead of a relaxing coffee, he now has to enjoy a dramatic showdown between two women battling mercilessly. And while everything unfolds like a drama-filled war, this employee just wishes he could find a way to safely withdraw, avoiding the senseless conflicts of a world he never wanted to be a part of. Certainly, if possible, he would choose to stay out of the conflict as an innocent bystander, both an observer and a witness to the tension in an unscripted scenario. And then, when the situation reaches its peak, will he be able to stand firm as a true Starbucks manager, or will he have to retreat, leave the stage as an innocent civilian, exhausted from the unending struggle? The answer may only be revealed when this dispute truly comes to an end. This situation has truly become a soap opera, unfortunately, not in a positive direction. Everything can only be described with one word: escalation. Two women, instead of trying to resolve the conflict, continue to develop their disagreements in an utterly unimaginable way. They aren't simply arguing, they are immersed in their arguments to the point where each believes they are the tragic victim, as if they've just stepped out of a tragic play, where each character plays a crucial role, especially the role of the victim. The story no longer stops at a simple argument. It has turned into an intense battle where each word becomes an attack weapon. One woman, with confident posture and a look as though she possesses ultimate power, gestures as if presenting justifiable reasons, as though she has just invented the truth of the world. These arguments are not just ordinary justifications, but grand statements that leave others in awe because of their persuasive power, yet lacking empathy and sensitivity. She continues to lecture, placing herself at the center of the universe, and undoubtedly, no one can dispute her. Meanwhile, the other woman shows no signs of weakness. Not only does she respond forcefully, but she also presents her own sharp weapons of language, as though she is competing in a national oratory contest. Every word she speaks contains cleverness, sharpness, and a challenge that leaves onlookers in awe, or at least confused. The sweet words, laced with sarcasm, feel like an intense intellectual game where every tone is used as a tool to defeat the opponent. The situation quickly turns into an uncompromising battle of wits, where neither side gives in, and each tries to elevate their weapon of words to prove they are the one in the right. Words are tossed back and forth like semantic bombs, causing everyone around to wonder, is this a battle of words or a survival war where every reason, whether valid or not, becomes a weapon in an endlessly dramatic play? At this point, it's no longer about who is right or wrong, but a clash of two linguistic worlds, each side using every tool at their disposal to defend their ego and reasoning. Each argument becomes a fierce battle, with relentless attacks and surprise tactics. The participants are no longer just engaged in a debate, but have transformed into fighters in an invisible war, a war where the winner is not the one with the strongest argument, but the one who can silence the opponent. Those witnessing this argument will likely exclaim that this is not an ordinary meeting at a cafe, but a classic verbal drama, where each word holds unimaginable power. And while this battle continues relentlessly, the final question remains: when will it end, and who will be the ultimate victor in this drama? The answer may very well be a never-ending debate. The next incident is just as gripping, even potentially the sequel to an action-packed movie, where every second holds a surprising twist. After struggling to leave Starbucks, the woman who was hit by a car must have thought she had escaped the tension and could now drive calmly home, breathing a sigh of relief as though she had just survived a battle with death. But just as she was enjoying the calm, the enemy unexpectedly returned, like a villain in a blockbuster action movie. Instead of accepting defeat and going home, the other woman had no intention of backing down and decided to pursue the battle, as though she had received a supernatural signal urging her to continue chasing her opponent. And now, it's no longer just a verbal battle with sharp words, but a dramatic chase, where the other woman's car becomes the supercar of an action heroine. But instead of using heavy weapons like in Hollywood movies, her weapon is the car and a cup of hot beverage, two items that have no direct connection to the drama they're involved in. Instead of acting like an adult, she becomes a mysterious figure with a special ability to create unexpected situations. At this point, the woman who was hit by the car can't help but wonder, is this real life or an action movie where the characters keep chasing each other in an endless pursuit? Certainly, if there were an outside spectator, they would exclaim, "The suspense is killing me, I want to buy a ticket for the next part." What's more, the other woman continues to chase, cutting across with artistic precision, as though she were competing in an extreme racing contest through the city, with smooth turns and speed that even professional drivers would admire. This image is no different from an F1 driver performing in an action movie, but instead of a racetrack, she is competing on busy streets. Just after stepping on the gas, the woman who was hit by the car, caught off guard, feels a strong collision. But instead of a massive car crashing into her, she is attacked by a strange object, a cup of beverage. Perhaps this is an original way to express anger, a type of throwing beverage not at a face but at a car, like a combination of stress relief and street art. No one can deny that this hot beverage toss not only intensified the anger of the woman who was hit, but also made the situation even more dangerous. A hot drink is no longer just a refreshing beverage, but now a powerful weapon that can cause burns, and it only adds to the tension in an already charged situation. Thus, instead of just being a simple argument with some rude words, the event has turned into a thrilling chase, where hot drinks become unexpected combat weapons. If this were an action movie, the audience would surely be laughing and wondering, how many more weapons will appear in this battle? So, from what seemed like a harmless incident at Starbucks, the story quickly evolved into a serious conflict that's almost unbelievable. A cup of beverage is no longer just something to quench thirst, but has become a battle weapon in an intense race between two women. The act of throwing the hot beverage not only made the woman who was hit even angrier, but also made the already tense situation much more dangerous and hard to control, just like a chase scene in classic action films, where a small mistake could lead to unpredictable consequences. It's as though the other woman didn't realize she was part of a crazy battle with all the elements of an action film: speed, extreme tension, and plenty of slaps with hot drinks. However, perhaps she only thought she was simply venting her frustration. Still, this situation has certainly made the witnesses wonder, is this an incredibly dramatic scene or just a never-ending face-off with unpredictable characters? When you think it's just a small quarrel in a coffee line, who would have imagined it would lead to a chase that could go on forever without police intervention? At this point, all we can do is sigh and wonder, is Starbucks an underground battlefield for unpredictable wars, where everything from coffee to insults can become a weapon? The investigation into the incident is, without a doubt, just as thrilling and intense as a detective movie, with messy details constantly changing, unexpected twists, and laughable situations. After receiving the report about the incident, the police must have been in disbelief at the absurdity of it all. But instead of sighing and thinking it's just a traffic jam joke, they patiently asked for more information. Honestly, they couldn't have known they were stepping into an investigation where everything could be uncovered through a dashcam video. Like every good detective in Hollywood films, they quickly realized that evidence was the savior in every case, without needing to scrutinize too many doubts. So, the police gathered the video from the dashcam of the woman who was hit, a golden ticket that could clear up all suspicions about this violent act. The police watched the video more than 3 times, surely not wanting to miss any details. When they discovered the truth, like a miracle, the video clearly showed that the woman was not at fault and, in fact, was the victim of an attack. All the initial accusations were debunked as a farce, making everyone involved question whether this was a scene from a ridiculous comedy. From a minor collision at Starbucks, everything has now turned into a tense battle of wits between the investigators and the irrefutable evidence. The police surely didn't expect to handle a coffee war case with so many dramatic twists. But what matters most is that they succeeded in bringing the truth to light, turning this case from a silly game into a valuable lesson that no one can escape the scrutiny of justice, especially when there's a dashcam in the back. Based on the strong evidence, the police quickly concluded what everyone could have predicted. The actions of the driver were not simply an unfortunate accident due to inattention or a bad day, but an intentional act of aggression. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the moment we must ask, was she driving or directing an extremely dramatic action scene? The so-called intentional attack here isn't just about using the vehicle to crash into the victim's car. It was a calculated action, like the driver had planned it beforehand with a clear goal, to create a grand scene on the street, making all the witnesses wonder if they were in a bad action movie. After carefully reviewing the video and other evidence, the police couldn't ignore this cruelty and recklessness. The question now is whether the driver truly thought she was acting in a movie and failed to realize that she had crossed the line into real danger. But now, no matter what, justice has found its way into this wild, star-studded drama, and the woman who attacked has no more escape routes.
However, it's certain that this story can't end here, as this is just the beginning of a complex investigation, much like a search for truth in a detective movie. What seemed like a minor incident has sparked a wave of tension that even the police have had trouble dealing with. Investigators will certainly need to continue gathering evidence because it's clear that this incident can't simply be a misunderstanding about parking or a moment of rashness while crashing into a car. Every detail of the case could bring new surprises, like a game of uncovering secrets hidden in each testimony and every piece of evidence recorded. The question is, will the truth be convincing enough to dissolve the ongoing contradictions? Or is this just the first chapter of an unexpected legal battle, a fight where everyone wants to win but no one will admit defeat? This investigation won't be as easy as explaining a simple traffic situation, but rather like decoding a long-running TV drama with many tangled plot lines. Each new testimony and piece of evidence adds complexity and unpredictability. Everyone involved has their own reasons, but will they be able to stick to their stories as everything is gradually revealed under the light of truth? Who will be called the final victim in this dramatic play? Stay tuned. The investigation, full of suspense, is just beginning. After evaluating the evidence, especially the grand dashcam video, as if it were part of an action blockbuster with chases, crashes, and even drink throwing as if it were heavy artillery, along with contradictory testimonies from the parties involved, the police finally made a decision that will likely make many people breathe a sigh of relief, formally charging the case for severe assault. Yes, what seemed like just a minor traffic misunderstanding has now risen to new heights, turning into a case that even detectives in action films would wish to be a part of. The female protagonist in this incident, the aggressive driver, can no longer hide behind the title of victim of a traffic misunderstanding and has officially entered the list of people who must face the consequences they deserve. She has been arrested, and now, the confrontation between her and justice will not be as simple as arguing about parking or bumping into each other's cars during moments of tension. No, this is no longer a minor traffic dispute. It's a serious battle in the courtroom, where she will face not only the hard questions of justice, but also condemnation from society for her deliberate actions, akin to a high-stakes attack in an action movie. Her actions, from throwing a drink at someone to driving like a daredevil, can no longer be called an accident. In fact, she had prepared for this scene long in advance, and now, not only lawyers but also judges will have to carefully examine every detail of this case. She's not simply a driver who got a bit heated in traffic. She is someone with a clear intent in creating a dangerous situation, one that could lead to unimaginable consequences. With this decision, the police did not just resolve a simple traffic case. They took it out of the usual traffic drama and placed it into a more complex world where every action is carefully calculated and might have to be paid for with dark days in jail. And now, she must face a confrontation not on the streets but in the courtroom, where justice will determine whether her actions were a crime or just a moment of road rage. But one thing is certain, this is not a story that can end with someone simply taking the blame and moving on. No, this story has now entered a new chapter, full of drama and unpredictability. In fact, while both sides try to weave their arguments into a dramatic narrative, as if participating in a debate competition hoping to win the title of Best Debater, the evidence never lies. While the two main characters of this story continue to argue to protect their image, a powerful weapon has come to light: the dashcam video. And remember, this isn't just any ordinary video. It is a raw footage with intense, gripping scenes, like a top-tier action movie, where every crash and every drink thrown is perfectly recorded. That video, which if watched multiple times, will undoubtedly show you action scenes rivaling those in a blockbuster, has become undeniable evidence, a witness that cannot be refuted. While both parties cling to the hope that the other might make a mistake in their testimony, the dashcam has captured everything, down to the last coffee drop spilling from the drink cup, like an essential detail in a film about traffic conflict. You can imagine this scene as a high-speed race between rebellious drivers, except these racers have no fancy wheels or stunning drifts, but instead, a regular car and a heavy-duty drink flying through the air. And, of course, no one can deny that the aggressive driver's actions were not a misunderstanding or a spur of the moment. She didn't accidentally crash into the victim's car, nor was she participating in a reckless game called Drive-Thru drinks. No, this was a deliberate attack, a clear move to create a tense situation. If you think this was just a regular traffic collision, you might be wrong. This act was like an outburst of rage to the point of madness, not to solve the problem, but to elevate it to a new level, where tension was built with every crash and every coffee thrown away. With irrefutable evidence, the story has now turned into a serious case, no longer just a traffic issue. So, despite both sides trying to blame each other, the truth is clear. That video is like a double-edged sword. It exposes the truth and pushes the case to new heights, making all arguments meaningless. Who needs words when you have such sharp evidence? The police's decision in this case was indeed a shock, no different from a sharp twist in an action movie. Who would have thought that a seemingly minor incident on the street could lead to a lengthy investigation and a formal charge decision? Sometimes, a drink throw or a crash that seems like a regular traffic accident can open up an entirely different script. And this decision by the police shows that, even if it's just a seemingly harmless act, if it goes too far, it will have to face serious consequences, like an oil stain ruining an entire map. And although both sides still can't agree on who started the battle, once the evidence is presented, we can certainly confirm that this wasn't a chance encounter or a minor bump in a parking lot. No, this was a grand traffic conflict, and not just a simple argument between two drivers. It was a real traffic war, where no one wants to lose, and every move feels like an intense action scene. Looking back, it's hard not to see the similarities with action films when the main characters begin acting without thinking about the consequences, whether it's crashing into cars or throwing drinks as weapons. The police, at this point, can't help but feel like detectives in a mystery movie as they analyze every detail, from the dashcam video to the testimonies, to come to an accurate conclusion. And when they determine that this isn't just a regular traffic case, but a deliberate act, they didn't hesitate to file charges. This not only makes impatient drivers rethink, but also sends a clear message about the law's determination to protect the legitimate rights of victims. They may have thought this was just a minor dispute, but in reality, it has become an important lesson about the severity and justice of the law. This case has become a strong reminder for all those who think that a throw or a crash can easily pass without consequence. But the law doesn't work like that. Misdeeds will be examined, investigated, and, if necessary, prosecuted to the fullest. There's no room for reckless behavior without accountability. Every action has consequences, and if you think you can get away with it just because no one witnessed it, the evidence has shown that nothing can hide the truth forever. The lesson learned from this case is the importance of patience and emotional control in all situations, especially while driving. An impulsive action, even for a moment, can lead to serious consequences not only materially but also legally. Using a vehicle inappropriately to solve conflicts not only endangers oneself but also harms others. Moreover, this case also highlights the importance of gathering clear evidence like dashcam footage to protect rights and ensure justice. Finally, staying calm and resolving conflicts rationally, rather than resorting to violence, is a crucial lesson to avoid unnecessary consequences in life.